Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. If you're new to this channel, please do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe button, hit the bell so you know whenever I post video. We post about a lot of stuff. We talk about a lot of stuff from motivation to news to pop culture to love, to faith and everything in between. So please, 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 we'd love to have you join the community, join the conversation, hit the like button. Please, please, please hit the like button. Also, click subscribe, hit the bell, and that way you'll know whenever I post a video. I literally just recorded half of this video and then my camera was like, this memory card is error, this memory card is unusable. And then I went and stuck it in my computer and my computer is able to back up all the content that's on it. So I'm just like, what just happened? But I just swapped out the memory card and now I'm filming this again. But this is so important to talk about, that I don't care. I'm gonna film it again. Don't be afraid to hold on to your dignity, guys. Don't be afraid to hold on to your dignity. There is a sentiment out there right now that's really nasty that wants to pull people's dignity away from them. You know, anytime that someone is sticking to their boundaries or advocating for empathy and compassion or asking for their due respect, asking for the respect that's due to them, whether that be in a professional situation or a family situation, a love situation, a community situation, people will try to take your dignity away from you. Maybe it's a situation within a friend group, maybe a friend or a quote unquote friend defines friendship and love as you just kissing their booty. And if you have any dignity in your character, they see that as a slight to them. Now, we talk on this channel a whole lot about the narcissist. And if you want to know more about where this comes from, because we live in a very narcissistic time right now, please go check out my videos about the narcissist. You might have one or two or lots in your life. But to pull the narcissist out of this a little bit, because I don't want to just like sort of simplify this into saying it's always just about narcissism. I think it also comes, well, I'm going to get to the end of why I think we're at this time right now where people don't want you to see you have dignity in yourself. They don't want you to see you, they don't want to see you have grace and confidence in yourself. They don't want to see you have dignity in yourself unless it is serving some sort of subservience to whoever they think should be in some sort of position of power. And that's ultimately what it comes back to, is oftentimes to do with things like these weird power dynamics, control, envy. Envy is a huge part of this. I want to give you a few examples just before I got cut off with the whole memory card craziness. There might be a few examples of this, and maybe you might resonate with some of them. So I'm going to give you a few of them. Say you have an elderly person in your family or in your community that is really seen as a person of, maybe it's not necessarily authority. It could be a person of authority. It could also just be someone who is old. For lack of better terms, it could just be someone who's just old. And we have in our society that, you know, you're supposed to respect your elders, as you should. You should respect anybody, but you should also demand that respect back, right? But it could be an elderly person who is very dogmatic in their thinking. Maybe they're very imposing with some sort of kind of really emotionally abusive type actions and tactics on you. Maybe they kind of drain you a lot of your energy and your resources, but they don't really reciprocate it back. And you keep sort of kissing up and sucking up to that elderly person because of fear of smearing. You know, you fear that if this elderly person in your family or your community or whoever it might be, if you don't suck up to them, they're going to turn and such to your siblings or your aunts or your uncles or your cousins or whoever it might be that are mutual contacts with this elderly person, or to your church members or your faith community members, and smear you. And so they're kind of holding this power over you. And anytime that you sort of stand up for your own dignity in the face of this elderly kind of bully, you know, you basically maybe pull back because you're afraid that you might get smeared. if I'll give you another example, and tell me if that one resonated with you. Another example might be in your career. And maybe you have worked very hard to get where you are in your career. And I don't know what that might be. You could be someone who's worked in a factory for many, many years. You could be someone who is a lawyer. You could be someone who's a doctor. You could be a nurse. You could be a teacher. You could be someone like me who works in marketing and or graphic design or some sort of creative field like film or graphic design or maybe it's IT, maybe it's coding, whatever it might be. And you have put in a certain amount of years, you've put in a certain amount of time, you have worked through education to get to where you are. And maybe you are not arrogant, maybe you are not egotistical, but you are confident in your abilities and you're confident in your competences and your knowledge of your particular industry. And you might be in the face of, it could be a coworker, it could be a boss, it could be a combination of people in your workspace. When you show that you take pride and dignity in what you do, and if someone says, hey, we should do this, and you say, hey, maybe we should take a second thought about that because from what I've studied, this is maybe the case here. You know, maybe there might be people or a person who doesn't want you to have dignity or pride in what it is that you do, what it is that is your expertise. You know, maybe you are in the face of people who don't want expertise. They just want a sort of golf club version or homeowners association or sort of the clique in the high school type arrangement of just this person here, we're just going to do whatever they say. Maybe you've had that, and maybe you've had times where you wanted to remain dignified in your skill set and what you've learned and what you know your skills are, what you know your educational background is, but people kind of just wanted you to kiss someone or some people's butts. And, you know, maybe that didn't align with what you knew your field of expertise would call you to do. Maybe you needed to make a decision in a particular role that you knew would be better for your company or your organization. But it was conflicting with what someone who didn't want you to be dignified and take pride in what it is that you do in your knowledge, but to just do what they thought. And maybe those people, when you think about it, were really just insecure because perhaps those people didn't have your same area of knowledge. Maybe they didn't have your same experience or years on a certain job or project. And so they were almost compensating to a certain extent by being very dogmatic. Usually, I mean, I think the way that those situations ends is that you have two choices. You either kiss butt and do what you know is not the best thing to do with your sort of expertise and education or skill set, and you just kiss butt and you crank out this mediocre stuff, and eventually maybe you lose your job because the company goes under because you're just running a high school clique, you know, instead of a place of work. Or if you don't kiss butt, then you continue to be dignified and take pride in what it is that you do and sort of contribute what you know your background and field of expertise sort of presents, and eventually you just get squeezed out. I'm reminded of some of the people in the U.S., for example, who are really just scientists, you know, scientists who study disease and viruses and, you know, pandemics and infections and infectious diseases and, you know, things like that. And they basically did their job during the pandemic, during COVID, and they were basically iced out and squeezed and got all kinds of, you know, unaliving threats from these really extremist people because those people had been swayed by one of these high school clique type leaders. And those high school clique type leaders can be from huge CEOs to people who run entire nations. So that's the perfect example of that. Or maybe it was a situation where you had a friend, and for you, friendship would be defined as being there for someone emotionally during the good times and the bad times, and that person giving you the same thing in return, and really having someone there to support you, someone who does the little things, that person who knows that you love donut holes, and they might just bring you donut holes on any given Tuesday because they just know that you love it. And maybe you had a friend who was not that person. Maybe you had a friend who basically just wanted you to continue to talk about them. Maybe every time you're on the phone, the conversation somehow just seemed to always whip right back around to them. And, you really couldn't get a word in. And then they say, well, you know what? I've been talking so much. Let me give you what's going on in your life. And you'd say a few things and you'd ask them their advice on it or ask them their thoughts, and then somehow the conversation goes right back to them again. And maybe this friend is so tyrannical that if you show that you do take some dignity in who you are as a person, and you say, hey, I want to just talk to you about this. I kind of want to just set this little boundary here. This is what I feel that friendship is, and I just feel like I really haven't been getting my emotional needs met, and I just want to know what you're thinking. If they gaslight you, and if they basically make you seem like a really horrid person for just asking to have your needs met as a friend, you'll run into that, right? Another example could be maybe you have these people in your community. This one's the kind of the worst one to me. Maybe you have these people in your community who's always had their eye on you. They've always thought that you were too big for your britches, that, and it's never they never think that the people who are too big for their britches are the people who are horrible people. They somehow think that horrible people are great people. And the people who are really, really individuals, the people who have a certain set of causes and charities and initiatives. Maybe you really care about the environment and that's been one of your biggest focuses. Or maybe you care about women's rights, or maybe you care about children. Maybe you are a child advocate, or maybe you really care about animal rights, or you are a huge, patron of music. Maybe you absolutely love music. And these are these people in your community who have tracked you since you were a kid. And they just see you and they've always thought, that person's an individual. They're probably too big for their britches. They're going to run into some problems. And they sort of just sit, waiting to see your every move. They're staring at your every move. And you might notice if you do something, if you take a stance on a certain issue in your community, maybe someone went through some hardship. I'll give you a perfect example, one that's kind of loosely based on something that happened in my life. Maybe you have a friend or family member who got pregnant and sort of a not so great situation. Maybe it was a teen pregnancy. Maybe it was an unexpected child, and maybe the people were not teens, but maybe they were really young and really inexperienced. And maybe those people actually make something out of it, and they really turn it around. They take up 2 jobs to take care of the child. They get a house, they really turn it around and they're trying their best. And maybe you stick up for them because they're your friends and your family members, and you want to show them compassion. You might have these people in your community who see you take dignity and pride and just taking life circumstances and moving along with it and keeping your head up while you do it. You might have people kind of whispering in the background saying that, sort of demonizing you, saying that you and the people that you have associated with who have this child, maybe that you are ungodly, maybe that you are a person who does not have values. But yet this person or people are going around town smearing you, spreading gossip and lies about you. I mean, I don't think that that's very virtuous either. You probably get the point. You probably get it here, right? We live in a time right now where having dignity and having pride, having grace, having compassion, standing up for the underdog, standing up for yourself, standing up for what you believe in, and I don't want to mean by saying standing up for what you believe in as being disrespectful. I'm really a believer in you should not be disrespectful, unless people are being disrespectful. Like, you should try and show that courtesy to whoever. It doesn't matter what age they are, what status they are in life, doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. We are human beings on this planet. We're pretty much here on our own. We have animals, but other than that, we're the only, sentient beings to that extent on this planet. So we should kind of like be there for each other. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard when you just want to stick to your scruples, but you see so many people who are just willing to gossip and lie and claw and pick at people and kind of do this boys club, girls club game to get ahead, while you want to get ahead on what you really are skilled in, what you are really passionate about, helping others, being compassionate for others. It's hard. It's hard. This is my little motivation today. Don't ever let anybody take your dignity away. Don't ever let anybody take your dignity away. We can love others. We can love human beings while still loving us a little bit more sometimes. Sometimes you got to love yourself a little bit more. And part of self-love is sticking to what you believe in. You don't have to give up your dignity for anybody. Nobody. And if somebody expects that from you, if someone expects you to give up your dignity to keep this family member happy, to keep this community member from gossiping about you, to keep this boss from firing you, to keep this coworker from throwing you under the bus, to keep this friend from dropping you, or whatever it might be, I think it might be time for you, A, to reassess those friendships, and B, to figure out how you can continue to be dignified but move forward with that situation at hand. And unfortunately, we just live in the time where dignity is not seen as something that's as necessary as it was at some time. And it might cost you some stuff. It might cost you some friendships. It might cost you some job opportunities. It might cost you some housing opportunities. Maybe you were going to get this really great place, but you could only get it if you sucked up to the right people. Or maybe it might cost you some really cool projects, or some really cool friend groups that you were trying to penetrate, or some really great networking opportunities. But I guarantee you, what will come back to you is so much better. What comes back to you is being able to know that I did what I really needed to do in my heart. I did really what I needed to do to uphold those values that I hold within myself of compassion and morals and dignity, and taking pride in who I am, what I know, what I've been through, what I've worked at to get to where I am. And it might cost you some friendships, some relationships, some networking opportunities, some money, some great housing opportunities, some jobs in the short term. But in the long term, the universe gives you what you put out, So if you put out a lack of dignity, a lack of scruples, clawing and crunching over anything and anyone to get what you want, in the short term, that's what the universe is going to give you back. But if you put out into the universe, I'm willing to stick up for the underdog. I'm willing to love myself enough to stick up for myself, to believe in myself, to have confidence in myself, and walk up with my head high. That's what the universe is going to give you back to. It's going to put you around the right people in your family, in your community, in your workplace, in your career, in your friend, and new friend groups, that basically mirror that same dignity that you have for yourself. So don't doubt it. God is working for you. And if you don't believe in God, just say the universe, The universe, God, however you want to put it, is working for you. It might cost you some some friendships in the meantime, some opportunities, some networking, some people, some contacts, whatever it might be in the meantime. But in the end, it's going to be better for you. And where we are right now in society, where we are at this place where it's a life or death choice to either choose to stick up, be brave, and speak to power, speak your truth, okay? And uphold values of compassion, of love, of humanity, of brotherhood and sisterhood, of unity, of working for what you've got and not just getting what you got out of nepotism or cheating. Where we are right now in this day where, you know, that's the situation at hand. That's what's mirrored on all levels from top down in society, is because too many people, when they were presented with that choice of choose dignity or choose to sort of get by, choose to sort of not ruffle the feathers of that person, those people, this leader, this boss, this family member, that friend, whatever it might be, this group. Too many times people have been silent. Too many times people have chosen to not stick with their dignity and to do what was easier in the short term. I guarantee you, in the long term, it will hurt you. Throughout history, if we continuously have people that choose the short term appeasement of these sort of not very scrupulous characters and leaders versus dignity, we have terrible, terrible implications. It doesn't move society forward. What it produces is complacency. It produces a lack of hope and violence and anger and grief and fear. But having dignity in who we are from these small individual levels every day that we can, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it ends in tears, baby. Sometimes you would just think, why is it so hard for me to just be brave and stick up? But be brave. Hold on to your dignity. Hold your head high. Hold your head high. You're going to have people out there, when you hold your head high, say, oh, he or she is too big for their britches. What she got her head up for? What he got his head up for? Like, what? Who do they think that they are? I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you. I think that these mentalities come from some very old worldviews. I think that they are connected to these older traditions of the sort of bourgeoisie elite class, and they sort of exist, and this is from all over the world. This existed in America and Africa and Europe, everywhere. I mean, an elite class has existed for, I mean, arguably since civilization has existed. And, you know, sometimes the only way that that could be propelled forward was by one class saying this other class is unworthy. And we now live in a day and age where that sort of, we're able to penetrate through that, from educating ourselves, from traveling, from, you know, aligning ourselves with groups outside of our own, from getting to know people from different backgrounds. That sort of pushes the boundary of that we're the elite class versus these are the common people. I think that honestly scares a lot of people. I think it scares a lot of people. It's really wrapped up in a lot of values that just seem very snobbish and sort of elitist in the end. And I don't think it really reflects who we are today. I also think it's really wrapped up in the monarchies of a very long and forgotten bygone time, you know, of the courtiers and the king or the queen's court, where, you know, there were these caste systems where really there were just these undesirables in society. There were poor people, black people, brown people, whatever it might be, but usually like just like really, really very blatant, obvious classism. And anyone who was seen as sort of trying to maneuver and go above their station, whatever this station is that people assign to people in life, those elite class people would think, hey, that's wrong. You know, you shouldn't be trying to sort of go past your station in life. That's wrong. I think our station in life is what we define it to be. If you want to go and be the next Albert Einstein, and you have a passion for science, whether you're born in the Bronx or whether you're born in, like, you know, one of the most beautiful suburbs of Cheshire, you really deserve to do what it is that you want to do, study what you want to study, and have dignity in that. I think that scares a lot of people, but ultimately, you know, I think at the end of the day, from my standpoint and beliefs, you do get judged at the end of the day for what you do on this planet and for helping others and for taking pride in yourself and not choosing the short, easy route and doing bad stuff, but maybe doing good stuff and that being the longer route and having dignity in what you do. I want to tell you you're beautiful. I want to tell you that. I want to tell you that no matter what ethnicity you are, where you come from, you're beautiful and you have, how do I want to say this? You have a uniqueness in you and you have something that you can hold your head up for. Don't ever be pushed to the point where you think that you can't hold your head up. You have those values in you that give dignity, that give pride, okay? That has sort of a element of maybe hope, you know, but you just got to tap into it. And it involves you caring about others, you know. It involves you putting the needs of others ahead of yourself sometimes. Sometimes you got to really care about self-love, but sometimes you got to care about others. You've got that in you. There's an element in you that is so beautiful, whether it's your intellect or whether it's the way that you carry yourself, the way you take pride in the way that you dress, the way that you take pride in your interests, like whatever it might be, basketball or football or golf or painting or faith. Maybe you're a historian. Maybe you like to write. Keep your pride in that. In those family dynamics and your career dynamic, have that dignity. Don't lose your morals. Don't lose your scruples. And demand respect of others. Give respect and demand respect. And if they don't give you that respect, there's no need to get indignant. There's no need to get angry. There's no need to get violent. You just keep on moving about your business. And I guarantee you, the universe will give you what you put out. Keep that dignity, y'all. Hold your head high. Because who I'm talking to right now are a bunch of kings and queens. Keep that dignity, queen. Keep that dignity, king. I'm sending you guys much love. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're new to this channel, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that bell so you know whenever I post a video. And I will see you next time. Bye.